I've been thinking, how do the laws get found when they don't know where to go? And I've been shaking, not many more twists and turns before I find the road. And I've been hoping for sunrise. I heard the dawn of hope can even light the way home. Just give me sunrise.
Welcome to the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, where I'm your host, Dr. Jazz, and we journey to purpose together. I am so excited today. Oh, I meant to tell you, Carlos, that actually I'm rebooting my podcast, right? So that's why you're here. But you were actually on my list of guests when I pulled up my spreadsheet.
Oh, that's what's up. Wait,
I
hold on. Are we live?
know.
Are you, this is
I'm
off.
recording. It's gonna be on there. Yes. Yes, I promise. It was crazy because I got a new assistant, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
I need to get her into what the podcast is like because I'm rebooting and I'm like looking up this potential guest. And somehow I must have had a conversation with you 2 years ago.
Oh, so I was on it.
You
All
were on my list. So I'm even more excited to record this episode with you. It's so
right, cool.
crazy.
I love this intro.
I wonder, I'm trying to figure out like how you would have been on my list, but you was on the list.
Okay.
So here we go.
Probably Janaya. She probably
Maybe
mentioned she's one of my
so. Maybe
students.
so. One of my students who also supposed to be on the podcast, but they playing. But
Uh,
anyway, I'm so excited to have you here. So let me actually introduce you so everyone else can be excited that you are here as well. So with me, I have Mr. Carlos Malave, and he is a strategic education leader, speaker, and curriculum developer with over 13 years of experience driving culture, transformation, curriculum innovation, and system level change across K 12 schools, higher education, and workforce development spaces. In his role as Director of Culture and Community and Head of Education, Carlos has led school wide and network level efforts to build safe, inclusive, and high expectation learning environments rooted in restorative practices, clarity of systems, and strong relationships. Welcome, Carlos.
How you doing? Thank you for having me. I
I'm
love the intro. I
good.
appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. I just thought it was crazy that your name was on the list. So, but as you know, I don't do many starting games. I just jump right in. So
Yeah,
the first question is, what does purpose mean to you?
it's a great question. I love the way you open it. For me, it's changed over the years, but right now, currently, one word, alignment. I think
Mm,
purpose for me is all about align. Everything that I do has to align as a father, husband, employee, consultant, friend. Everything has to be aligned so I can be whole and be my true self in all these spaces. So I think in everything that I do, I like to align myself to the work so I am who I say I am. I just not just talk the talk, I walk the walk, right? I can't be this person that, you know, everybody loves, speaks highly about, and then my daughter don't see me that way. My wife doesn't receive me that way, right? None of that makes sense. So the most important thing is alignment so I could be whole and I'm who I say I am with the most important people in my life. So
I
that,
love that.
yeah, is that the best answer you've ever had? I'll take that. I'll take that.
Okay, top three.
Top three? All right, all
Top
right.
three, top three, because
I'll take top three. Top
I
three. I'll
don't
take
want to,
top three.
I don't want to offend nobody. So top three.
I'll take
No, but seriously, like that, even just that one word, because when I think about my purpose, and we've discussed this in several different iterations, I'm in the season now of if it has nothing to do with that, I don't want to do it. So you saying alignment was like, oh yeah, that's
yeah.
it. Like if it has nothing to do with what I feel is in my purpose is, I'm out of alignment, I'm out of whack, and it doesn't work. So that's my next question for you. What happens when you're out of alignment? Like, is there a mental or physical? What's going on?
And I think to clarify, I think my answer comes with maturity. As I'm trying to figure out, as everybody's trying to figure out what they're doing. I'm coming to the end of my 30s. So I've had some ups and downs and trying to figure it out. Ambitious, tried different things, try to find my footing in different areas and find who I was. And it all went back to the main thing was that am I who I say I am? Am I going into these positions and these jobs and these spaces? Am I representing my true self? And then when you can answer that question, right? Look in the mirror, answer that question honestly, then you can start the process. And
Hmm.
a while, I was playing the game, right? I was trying to fit into spaces that weren't for me, right? And I had to make a decision like, hey, this don't feel right. I think that feeling is maturity. Like me feeling in these spaces, I'm not being my authentic self. I need to walk away, right? Because I see where that comes from. I see where that leads, right? And for me, it was always about creating a happy lifestyle, right? And figuring that out along the way. But that was my biggest one. That I have to be aligned, right? Because I don't feel good about being in spaces. I don't feel how I react to things. I don't feel, it all came back to I'm not aligned to this work. I'm not aligned to the people I'm around, right? And that it's okay to acknowledge it, but then making the move of strategically putting yourself in those spaces so that you can truly be yourself. And then from there you build. So I think it comes from maturity. And I think when you're out of alignment, you feel it, to answer your question.
Mm.
Feel those things in your stomach and your reactions when you're around people in the spaces. You don't feel like it just don't feel right, right? You know, internally, you know, and you get that ick. I don't know if you get that ick when
Yeah.
you're in
The
spaces.
young
Like,
folks. Yeah.
these, what they saying, what they about. I'm not about that. I don't want to be about that, right? I'm okay with not being in this space and being able to walk away. And I think position yourself so that you can make those decisions is important. For example, like money, like if you're in certain circumstances, you feel like you have to make certain decisions and make certain gains, right, to get places. But it's going to get to a point where if you stay in places that you're not aligned to, you're going to be doing a lot of unethical things that could lead you to ending up destroying everything else, right, in
Mm.
your life that's most important. So you feel the ick, you feel that feeling. I think you have a decision to make. You're in that crossroads. You have to be like, okay, I need to step away, take some time, process, or set up my next move before I step away, right? And I think that's what you need to start doing after you get the feeling.
And that leads me to my next question because you use the word strategy, right? Like I'm strategizing to put myself in the correct places. And I want to know like what is if it ain't a secret, what is the strategy and how do you like you realize something's not in alignment or back in the past you realized it wasn't in alignment. Like what is the thought process to say, okay, I know I don't need to be here, but how do I strategically get where I need to be?
I think it's all about, ironically, relationships. And it all starts with you surrounding yourself around truth tellers. It's easy to be around people to tell you what you want to hear. It's easy to be around people to tell you the good things, the nice things. Oh my God, you're lovely, you're amazing. You need people to be like, hey, that was stupid. You sound ridiculous. You need to correct that. And the more you're around people that are not afraid to tell you the truth, the more you build this understanding of self. And then this reflection and this correction period that everybody has to go through. Some people are born into it and they're fortunate to have people. They grow up in a family that everybody's truth telling, right? They're used to it. Some people aren't as fortunate. I wasn't. I grew up around everybody that was dancing. Everybody danced around their issues. So for me, I strategically had to get myself around people that were straight shooters, right? Because I had examples in my life consistently that will show me what happens when you become complacent, when you around people that give you yes to everything, right? Don't correct you. And I see what that leads to. And I saw something wrong there. And I felt the ick since I was like 7, 8. And I was like, oh, there's something wrong with that. I feel like that person wants to live a certain lifestyle, but they can't. They're holding themselves back. And I internalized it in that way and figured over time with experience, like, oh, you got to get the right people around you. You have to be or have it's a small group. It could be 1 or 2 people that you keep around you, and that could change. That 1 or 2 person people could change every couple years, right? Every 5 years, you're gonna be a different person. So not every to ask somebody to grow at the same rate that you grow is kind of insanity. So that's why the conversations have to be fluid and be able to go there with people. So for me, it's about surrounding myself around people that my best friend, Dr. Nathaniel Bowie. Went to college together. He was a couple years older than me. He was my barber, which didn't really work out because I ended up.
If you're
I
watching on
always,
YouTube,
I
you'll
always say, I
understand what
always
he's
say, I
saying.
always say this joke, but he ain't mad. I was already, I made a strategic decision because I saw all my uncles on my father and my on my father's side, and my mom's side. I was like, oh, yeah, I got no chance. So I ain't gonna be going to the barbershop. Like, let me get it up here, line it up. So I was like, I shaved my head before I went completely bald, and everybody, since I was 21, I shaved it, and I was like, figure it out.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, Tupac did it, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna figure it out. And I didn't know how to dress. That's how I met my wife. She taught me how to dress, and it was a wrap after that. I was like, I'll figure it out. So anyway,
Wait,
you gotta learn how
wait.
to dress your baldy. So
So you had a receding hairline and you didn't know how to dress. That's a
yeah.
bad combo.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was an athlete. I was a student athlete. I played basketball, scholarship basketball, right? So I was dressing in sweats, Jordans, like sweats, like shorts and like socks and sandals. Like I was that guy that I was always. So I dressed my age. But when I shaved it, I was like, ooh, it don't match. So like I needed to, it wasn't that I couldn't dress. It was a matter like when I shaved the head and I grew some facial hair, I gained like at 22, I was looking like 27, 28, like I was having a midlife crisis type thing. You know? So
Got
like I
it.
needed to like, start dressing better I
Okay.
needed to dress my baldy basically. So all that to
Yeah.
all that to say, like my friend Nathaniel Bowie, he was a couple years older than me, and he'd be straight shooter. And for me, I saw like me and him would be in the room and we would just talk about life and anything, and we would always give it to me straight, and everybody else wouldn't. And I was like, why everybody afraid to, have these conversations? I would go there, me and him got cool. My wife is the same way, like straight shooter. She's the first one to tell me I look dumb. And I appreciate that because if she tells me I look dumb, then I ain't gonna look dumb in the streets, right? So like there's a different, and you gotta be able to not take it personal as well too. So I know I'm getting off track, but to answer your question, it's
Good.
about surrounding yourself around people that can keep you aligned and can keep you on your mission by not being afraid to tell you the hard stuff. It's easy to be around people to leave you alone, to not tell you the things that will elevate you, right? It's hard to put yourself around people that they fight that feeling. It's like, hey, I want you to be better, so I'm gonna tell you this. That's what will keep you aligned and get you on your mission to be where you want to be.
I love that. So my immediate family is definitely truth tellers. Like my mom and my dad. I definitely grew up knowing what I was good at and what I was not good at. And I think it helped me to navigate the world because it wasn't in a malicious way, right? They would just be like, Jasmine, we're gonna try a different sport, right?
Mhm.
Or, like, and if they saw some potential, they would push towards it. And I am thankful because when you said like growing up not around that, like I do think it helps. But I want to switch to this offense part.
Yeah.
Because after you said that, it made me think about the amount of people who are not growing and not going to their purpose because they're offended. Can
Yeah.
you speak to if people are trying to help you, like, how do you not be offended? What do you do if you are offended? How do you grow out of that? Like, somewhere around there. That's the question.
It's as simple as just learning how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. I think truth hurts, and we hear this all the time, but truth hurts. But truth can develop growth. So you have to go through the hurt to grow. And if you look at it that way, it'll be much easier. Like I always respected my elders, and I always listen to old people. Like I could sit down with old people. My wife the same way. We enjoy being around older people. Like we could sit down because they got stories for days, and I could sit down and listen, right? And I learned very quickly growing up, like I listen and show respect to everybody, but I take pieces and I don't have to agree with everything. Like you can't agree with everything. Everybody give you advice, especially when I was playing ball, everybody had the right answer. And then you got to pay attention to who you talking to. Like if you ain't
Yes.
what I'm trying to do, you can't tell me what to do.
Yes. For
Yeah.
me, is if I don't like the results of your life.
Exactly. That part. That part. It has to align. Like it all goes back. Like pay attention to who you asking. Pay attention to who you listening to. Show respect and listen and swallow your ego and put it aside for the moment and then just internalize it. Take time to process. Okay, has this person been there? Oh, he has. She has. Then maybe I should take a piece of that. Maybe Maybe I should ask more deeper questions for that, right? And then just become a student to the game. I think even that's why this whole fascination of Kobe Bryant has blew up. I remember when everybody hated Kobe. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody loving Kobe now, and all that. And he's amazing. But like I remember when everybody hated Kobe, right? And that's what you got to remember. He was that same person after he passed away and everybody saw and appreciated what he did. When he was doing it, everybody hated him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody hated Martin Luther King when he said, everybody
Mm-hmm.
hated Malcolm X, right? You're not going to be liked, and you have to do things to improve yourself, not caring. That's what it means to not care what other people think. So on a bigger picture, like ask those questions, put yourself out there. Don't worry about what people think. Like people are gonna say, why are you asking so many questions? Why are you going to that person? Why you always like become a student? If you have a goal, you have a lane or a mission, right, to achieve, you have to be around, see people that have done it and ask those questions. It's like we talked about at the when we were at Northwestern State University, the Janet Jackson effect,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the same thing. Like it's the Janet Jackson effect, right? To explain it, everybody was asking questions like, "Oh my God, how did Janet Jackson get with Jermaine Dupri? He's short. He's not the most attractive. Like, how in the world?"
Mm-hmm.
Because she had this presence that everybody was afraid to go up. Everybody thought, oh, she wouldn't, right? Like nobody would, she wouldn't react to me, or she's not going to entertain me as a person, right? And Jermaine Dupri had the guts to go up and ask. And I looked at that, and then they ended up in a relationship, and everybody's surprised, right? And that's when I looked at that, and as I moved through my life, I started asking questions, and I got the same responses. Those people that are super successful love to talk. They just never ask the questions.
Mm.
They love to talk. They want to help. They want to mentor. They would
That's
love.
true.
I've been around millionaires. I've been around multimillionaires, and they love to like I want to give. Nobody acts because people are intimidated. They don't want to look weak. Kevin Hart said it in an interview recently where he was like went to a party and he was like he saw the guy who created Mark who created Facebook and
Mm-hmm.
he was gonna go up and ask questions like yo I want to just in the middle of the party and his boys is like yo that's lame like don't do that you don't like and he was like that right there is the difference between successful people and non-successful people.
No,
You don't want to call them off a certain way rather than I'm going to ask this person figured out something. I'm going to ask a question to be on that level and understand, right? And I think people got to push past that.
yeah, I got two things to say. Well, one thing to say and one question.
Yeah.
Because that I believe, because my parents are, they old. They not old. Sorry, mama, daddy. But, Southern.
I'll
And,
watch this.
they always got sayings, I don't want to get in trouble. And one of them is even a drunk man can teach you how not to drink, right? So I'm big on just taking from people what I can take from them, slash, I get everybody's number. And people laugh at me. Like literally the other day, I was on my run and I saw a city truck doing surveying. And I just asked, like, what y'all about to do right here? Whatever. It's my neighborhood. And it happened to be one of the city engineers. Do you know I got that man's cell phone number? He gave me his cell phone number. I said, yeah, I might have a pothole on my street. Like, I'm really big on asking because one, the worst thing that somebody could tell you is no.
Yeah.
And two, you didn't know, right? So like you didn't know. So N-O and K-N-O-W, right? Like you just did not know. So I'm big and I tell my students that all the time, like just ask, just show up. Cause you never know. I would have walked straight up to Mark Zuckerberg and just asked him 8 million questions because you just don't know. But you
Yeah.
said something earlier that piqued my interest in this you don't have to be liked situation. So my issue is that I don't care that you like me. I don't like to offend other people.
Mhm.
So how can you speak to that? Because as you're being strategic and moving from the people that once were in your life that were yes men to the no people, like people are going to get offended in that, right? So for me personally, it's not that I don't care that you don't like me for me being myself, but I don't want to turn you off, if that makes sense.
Yes, I've been reading a lot of books lately. I read my book, No More Dancing. That's a
We'll put the link in the
selfless
bio.
plug. No plug in there. But after I read my book, I've been reading a bunch of books, and one of them that touches on this very well is the four agreements. In the four agreements, one of them is don't take things personal. And for me, in it, I'm gonna give you an example. When someone says no or they give me attitude and I went with nothing but respect, I wasn't always like this, but I immediately, and the book just confirmed, I immediately go into, oh, they're going through something. That had nothing to do with me. That's them. They haven't got, they not aligned.
Yeah, I do that as well, but I'm realizing that this need to be kind because I don't care about being nice. Like
Yeah.
I am
Ooh,
not.
let's get into it. I talked about this with my wife yesterday. Let's get into this. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
do not claim being a nice person at all.
Let's
Like with my stuff, I get real with them. They be like, "You so me. I'm trying to help
no.
you survive."
Oh, there's a big this. I grew up nice. I
Mm,
grew up nice, like considered a nice person, privileged, light skin, like good looking, like man, I have privilege, right?
hmm
I grew up nice and I always was proud of being nice. And then I got around my wife and I was like, yeah, anybody could be nice. Not everybody could be kind.
hmm
Nice is doing things to look a certain way. Kind is doing the hard stuff to have really help
Yes.
and identifying. Like instead, like kind is like not, for example, not taking something knowing you can't do it and then offer and then looking around and giving it to someone that actually can do it and needs it, right? That's kind. Nice
Yes.
is, oh, I'll just do it. I'll take the job. And knowing damn well you don't have the capacity to do it.
Yes.
Like that's just a recent example that I've been experiencing. And naturally, I'm nice, but like I said, I surround myself around truth tellers. So I have that, and it's okay. You gotta accept it. Like I'm getting to the place I used to be like, oh, I'm not like this. I'm not. No, I am like this, but I'm aware of it. So when I do it, I start remembering the conversations I have with my wife, with my friend, and the people that they are. They're the type of people that give their shirt off their back. They don't look for recognition, right?
Mm.
Being nice, sometimes people being nice just to be performative, just to be seen as this, and they'll get the advantage or the opportunity just because you're nice.
I
But
call it nice nasty.
yeah, there's a lot of nice nasty going on around here. Being kind is being real. Basically, being kind is more impactful, right? So like I've been working on being kind. So when I naturally want to be nice, I immediately be like, I need to be kind. What's the kind
hmm
thing, right? And then I would ask those people, hey, if I do this, would I look this way? They're like, yeah, man, that that per that person could do it better. Like you need to put that person. Oh, okay, cool. You're right. You're right. You're right. 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 So like that's what I mean. Putting right people around you.
Yeah.
So like it all, once again, it's all aligning, right?
Yeah.
You have to align and be able to, you know, put yourself in that position, but build that awareness. And to answer your question about offending people, I think I've gotten to the place where, you know, I identify that it's not me, it's them, especially if I didn't do anything to them. I immediately think they're going through something. But like even like with Bad Bunny, then the Super Bowl, I'm Puerto Rican, so like that's you know what I mean? So
Me
like
too. No, I'm
I
joking.
so like for me it was like you gotta enter it and leave it with love.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like
No, it does.
like you gotta go in, they could get offended, but also remember to leave it with love, like with respect. All right, cool. Right? When you're ready or when you realize, cool, right? Not taking it personal, and being able to step away, like not, and trust me, don't get disrespected, of course.
Right.
Stay in your ground, but don't let it, don't linger on it. Don't let it overcome your day. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like with love,
Yeah.
like cool. Like I ain't gonna let that affect the rest of my day. Like
Yeah.
people to be around.
I think I don't want to go down a Bad Bunny trail, but I
Yeah.
think it's interesting that you brought him up because he is clearly aligned,
hmm
right? And even though so many people hated what he did because he was aligned, it was impactful, right? Like him being able to say, I am also American. So when you say things like keep America great, you're also talking about me,
And
right? Like,
and the other thing, the crazy thing, and we go back, I've done my research. Like Puerto Ricans were forced into citizenship to be on the front line of war, to kill bodies. Let's keep it real. They were forced into citizenship before immigrants that went through Ellis Island got the citizenship. So before you start talking that Puerto Ricans were forced into citizenship to fight battle, and most of them got killed because they were in the front line before people came from Ellis Island. So when you talk and go back and all that, like, know your history.
yeah. And we're not gonna go down this trail because for me, because it's not, it has nothing to do with purpose, but I'm gonna say this. Because
Yeah.
for me, I believe that everything in the United States, and my students talk about me, they're like capitalism. And I'm like, no, seriously, capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Like any, so you want Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico has tried to leave several times. Let's be clear about that as well. But you wanted Puerto Rican bodies so that you can profit off of war. It had nothing to do with actually valuing the land. They didn't even care about the land, right? Like
Yeah,
it
they
was just a
did.
profit off of war.
It's sad because if you look at the history, we were owned for like 400 years by Spain, and then we revolutionized and we revolted and took over the capital, pushed out Spain, and 3 months later, here come the shits with America.
Right.
Right. And then they like, nah, you guys, and because we had to revolt and because we caused chaos to take over, the place looked at, and there was some natural disasters that happened. It looked a certain way in America, like, oh, you guys need our help. And then
America has a white savior complex, right?
yeah,
So that's the same thing we did to the natives, right? You don't know what to do with this land. Let us show
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So
So that's
there
what
was a
we
lot of that.
Yeah,
Yep.
we have, yeah, we just have this white savior complex
Yeah.
type situation, but we're gonna get back to, because
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is not my
Perfect.
sociology
Yeah.
class, but we gonna get back to purpose. My next question for you is, I know you said it came with maturity, right? That you figured out that you should be aligned, but can you tell me that journey to maturity? Like how, like did
Uh,
one day you wake up and you say, I'm tripping? Or
nah,
what, like what was the
like
journey?
I've had I grew up and there's a lot of what I talk about in my work. I grew up in a bilingual household, Puerto Rican, where, music was played every single second, right? And I remember the rooms being tense, right? I know Didi didn't talk to him. He mad at her. They all upset, and then the music cut on, and everybody could dance. Everybody danced all night, and like nothing was wrong, right? And they could dance circles. And my father was the best dancer, right? He could life of the party, this and that, and he could dance, and no matter what was happening. And I learned as a very young kid that that dance transfer and translated to different parts of my life where I started dancing around my issues, just like everybody else, right? Not being direct with people and saying what needs to be said. So like I was saying earlier about finding those right people, it started really early. So that's one thing that I noticed. And then having to grow up early. My father had a lot of struggles. He had a tough childhood, did the best he could, married a college educated woman, um, had 3 kids, all got to college. And so stereotypically he did well, right? But he was always running away from those tough conversations, those relationships, right? And really being able to align himself. So my father, he struggled with alcoholism, depression, and I seen a lot of things growing up, right? And he confined me. And I was very confused. And this is why I do a lot of the work that I do since a young age. My father would come to me for advice, and I'm talking to him uh, about various things, relationships, friendships, family, and you know, being angry. Like,
Mm,
why me? Why, why you can't do it for me? Why I have to do it for you? This isn't fair. And I had to get to a place like this was my gift, or like this is how it is, and I just have to do the best with it. And that was my childhood. And my father did the best he could with what he had. With my mom, they try to create memories, and they did the best they could. But things happen, and my father wasn't able to connect, and he ended up committing suicide in 2019.
mm,
And that's where everything shifted because For a long time, he protected me from the world. He did his thing, but people knew who he was, and he would protect me from certain things when I wouldn't even know I was protected
Mm-hmm.
because people knew my father. You know what I mean? So like,
Mm-hmm.
it built this cockiness, but then I look around and I build this awareness, have conversations with people that knew my dad and things that happened that I didn't even know about. I'm like, oh, my father was a kind person.
Mm.
That's one thing. My father was a kind person. And it's hard to teach it and all that, especially when you have your own demons and all that. And I ended up being a nice person. And he was a
Yeah.
kind person that didn't know how to get receive love back. You know what I mean?
Right.
He struggled with depression with family, friends, all that, employment. And then, when he took his own life, he called me before he jumped,
Oh
and I
my
missed his
gosh.
call. I missed his call talking to two of my students about their relationships with their fathers. Um, so I had to process that, and I had to go into that dark room and really get to know who I was and start from scratch. And my wife gave me the best gift. She was like, "Hey, after I finished off the year, after everything was crazy, I had to fly back, identify the body, be with my family, and the whole nine. And then I went back to work, and my wife was like, take the year off after this and just process."
Oh wow.
Right?
That is a blessing.
Yeah, and I had already developed my businesses on the side, so like try and take some time, try new things and take some time to process. You just been going. So that was a blessing, and I was able to like really be in that dark room and have those tough conversations with myself, with my wife, with my friends, and really reintroduce myself to me
Mm.
and seeing like the actions that my father did and what it led to. And then seeing how I don't repeat the cycle so that my daughter doesn't ask why daddy jumped.
Mm.
Because I did my research and my father's father jumped in front of a bus or a car when he was about 4 because he was drunk. Don't know if it was intentional or not. And then my father jumped in front of the L train in New York City.
Jeez.
And I know if I look down my lineage, I know it's probably a lot of depression, a lot of alcoholism,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of abuse that led them to not feeling, whole or feeling like they are worthy, and they just took their own life. And obviously the trauma and everything from the country. That's why I bought up
Mm-hmm.
Bad Bunny too, because looking back, that's why I did my research on that too. Read some books and saw the history, and I was like, oh my God, my father was probably a representation of all of that. Like he was just
Mm-hmm.
a part of that, and without knowing, it was just passed down.
Yeah.
Right? And for me to break it, I had to understand it, identify it, acknowledge it, so that I can work through it, not work around it.
That's good.
And then like even having conversations with my daughter and you know because we every generation try to protect their children from what they saw,
Mm-hmm.
but all your kids are going to see what you didn't give them.
Yeah.
So for me, with this journey, to answer your question, I'm gonna put it all together.
No, you
Just but
take whatever turns you want to take.
so to answer your question, the journey has been rediscovery
Mm.
who I am, aligning myself. So when I talk about that alignment, it's coming from me and my father's relationship. Another thing, like um, before, and this is what my brother and sister didn't get. They weren't granted this. Whereas I used to fly in to New York City and drive up to upstate New York for speaking engagements, only to meet up with my father in New York City to drive up with him.
Mm.
Did it about once or twice, yeah, like twice. And I was fortunate in those drives, 7 hours. We would laugh, we would hug, we would scream, we would yell, we would cry, we would hug. We let it all out.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how I felt. I know how he felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I know not everybody gets that. I have family members to this day that didn't get that, and they live
Mm-hmm.
with that. So when I do this work, I show the value in that. And you experience this. I get people to do that work
Mm-hmm.
to prepare themselves to have those conversations, whether a person's here or not. because you're gonna have to have that conversation and let it out, so you can heal and go through it, not around it, right? So that you can
Yeah.
become whole and be able to use it to go on your path and continue to do what you were meant to do.
Yeah. First, thank you for sharing your story because you definitely did not have to do that. And it's real. I'm processing all that you're saying with your dad, and I'm thinking about I'm big on generational things and looking and seeing and knowing that you want to stop that, right? Like no more jumping into in front of into whatever so that your daughter doesn't have to like I commend you 1,000% because I think sometimes we see the pattern and we don't care to stop it.
Yeah.
So I just want to pause and say I commend you on that 110%. But also I'm thinking about the beauty of those drives with your dad and like even though it obviously is a hard situation and we don't want to negate that, but the beauty that came out of that that now has led you to this alignment. And I want to talk about, and you don't have to, you can say no to this question, but what did the role of grief help you? Like, because when you're talking about taking off a whole year to grieve, people aren't that I don't want to use the word lucky, but fortunate to be able to do that. So how did that path help you?
I think it helped me immensely. I think to go off of what I said before in the title of my book, No More Dancing, I learned how to dance through all the craziness
Mm,
in my life. I learned to not give too much attention to the craziness or the stuff that wasn't right, and I just
mm-hmm,
focused on the positives. And I remember growing up, and friends was like, "Oh, you have both parents in the house, you good." Like all my
mm-hmm,
boys had one parent household, or they had a bunch of stuff that was visible to everybody, but we nobody could see it from the outside, right? So like
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And like I said, like most households, right? Whatever happens in the household stays in the household. Don't let nobody see your pain, right? So like it was that, and my parents, there was some things that I was going through that I just couldn't elaborate or articulate to friends because it's like, what you complaining about?
Yeah.
You got two, like relax, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was a lot of that, and then you light skin, like relax. Like you privileged, like relax. So
That is funny.
I was the oldest child. I was like, all right, cool. I guess I relax. I said, because I grew up in those neighborhoods. I was like, yo, like he going through it. Oh shit, like oh, like she got a lot. Like
Mm-hmm,
I seen it. So
mm-hmm,
I'm like, okay, like mine ain't bad. Like that's how I
mm-hmm.
felt. That's how I felt.
Right.
But like my wife was like, me and my wife getting to know each other in the first couple years, and she was like, "Oh, you good?" Like, da da, and then she get to see, and then we get to talk, and she like, "Oh," we
Mm-hmm,
had this conversation. It was like, "Oh, I thought, oh, yeah, like you just don't let nobody see it.
mm-hmm,
You don't you don't let nobody
mm-hmm,
see it." But like that's crazy. That's a lot. Like the stuff you had to deal with as a kid and stuff you saw, like that's not normal. Some of those things
mm-hmm.
aren't normal. And I think a lot of people they go through life like that. And for me to break it, I gotta I gotta do it. I gotta put myself out there, right? Because for so long, everybody just thought I had the perfect life. And that's not true. And most people,
Yeah.
you see is celebrities take their lives, and there's a lot of things that people not seeing. So for me, it's to be aligned, is to be vulnerable and show the power and vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
It's power and vulnerability because when I'm vulnerable and I'm able to go there, I take the power back from that moment. The reason that I don't cry no more because I've cried more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So there's power in me being able to say it because I understand it. That's power. When you don't talk about it, you're not vulnerable. You always see these people that get emotional and choked up, even if it happened 20 years ago, they still
Yeah.
get choked up because they haven't processed it. And the
Yeah.
reality is you holding on to that. And that does something to your body. That does something to your spirit. And you
Yeah.
can't fully wholly be yourself. And I think that for me, I wear everything on my sleeves. And it's like, I don't care if you know it, I know it better than you.
Hmm.
right? So like I say it so much that I understand it better than you. So it don't matter how many people know it, I know it more.
Right.
And that's taking my power back. So when I'm dealing with students, my students, and they're afraid to tell their stuff or what they're going through and that they're in pain or they want to cry, I'm like, nah, like let it out.
Yeah.
That is, you got to get that power back, or you're just gonna get older and you still gonna feel it. And then you're not gonna know. You're gonna feel even more weird.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think the journey is all about getting to that place of wholeness, and it takes time and it's hard. And I'm not perfect, and I have my
Yeah.
steps. And being vulnerable about that, like I may look on Instagram and on all these social medias like I'm a perfect father, I'm a perfect husband. No, it's like a daily grind. Like
Yeah.
that's why you got to be around truth tellers. So I get corrected and get better every day.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, I have another chance, and that's how you got to look at it.
I think it's interesting shifting to your students because we both have students at different levels, right? And I'm thinking about that vulnerability piece because it leads to freedom, right? When you were talking about how, because I got a lot of thoughts. Let me gather myself. Hold on
Yeah.
1 second. So, the first thing is, I'm in a season of slowing down. So
Mm,
I that's why I would ask the question about your year-long grief process because we live in America
yeah,
where bereavement may be literally 3 days, right?
yeah,
Like, and this is when people lose their parents. This is when people, right? Like corporations are like, you get 3 days off, you better show back up here.
yeah,
And being able to process through the loss of a person and
yeah,
slow down, right? To process and grieve that is something that, and I'm shifting to our students, that we need to teach them. Because when you were talking about like that vulnerability piece, I'm thinking about my students and how many times I look at them and I say, nah, for real.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like what's actually going on? Because that freedom, you can't be aligned if you're not free. You
yeah,
can't be aligned if you're bitter, if you're sad, if you're depressed, if like, and I'm not saying mental health does not happen to all of us.
yeah,
Mental health issues,
yeah, yeah.
do I want to use the word issues? That's what I got right now. I don't want to say that those things don't happen to all of
No,
us, but there's a freedom in being able to slow down and process and say, I don't want to dance anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the because I know I got off track, but
No, you're good.
the grief helped me like, oh yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. So my upbringing, everybody thought I had it easy, and I think I learned to just be like, I'm cool then. Hey, there's people got worse
Mm-hmm.
than me, so I'm cool. I'll truck through, and that was like a pause. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, like this, I can't even run from this no more. Like I can't,
Yeah.
I gotta face it. I gotta change. In order to change, I gotta go through it. I can't go around it. I gotta sit in that dark room, talk to myself. I need to talk to my dad. I need to figure this out, right? To really break, I gotta stop blaming my father. I'm a grown man. There's only so many levels, so long you could go blaming your parents. You get to a certain age, it's you.
Yeah.
You haven't done the work. They did the best they could with what they had. I needed
Yes.
to get to a place where it's like my father did the best he could. Now it's my time to take the baton and take it further. So like he did the best he could with what he had. He put me in a better position than he was.
Mm-hmm.
He did his job. And
Mm-hmm.
I needed to step into that and stop, blaming and like I used to say, like, why me? Right? But
Mm-hmm.
it built me to who I am today. So the grieving process actually, I leaned in and actually helped me become who I am today.
Yeah.
And it's a different person than I was before. And ironically, I know COVID was a horrible thing for many people around the world. Many lives are lost. But that happened to me before COVID.
Mm.
And then the year after, the world stopped. So I was able to heal in a way that many weren't.
Yeah.
So not only did I take a year, so after the 2018, 2019 school year, that happened in the middle of that year. And then I decided to take the year off. So I had 2019 going into 2020, and then 2020 happened. So I was only
Mm.
supposed to take a year off. Then it went into COVID. And I'm like, and then I got to spend time with my girls a different way. I got to really connect. So I was doing that healing for myself, and then I really got to build my relationship with my girls, my wife and my daughter, and actually work on things that maybe I wasn't going to or wasn't going to be given the opportunity if we just kept going.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. And I know COVID was a terrible thing, but like I think when it happened with my pops, and then COVID happened, it kind of like allowed me and my situation to like really like repair and do that
Yeah.
work in that dark room because everybody was in the dark room by themselves.
Yeah.
Everybody was stuck. Everybody was paused and we was forced to be like, oh, what really matters?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Thank you for sharing. I have a question that you probably don't even remember saying this, but you
Yeah.
talked about how like you use the word unfair. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm in a season of deciding that I don't even know if I agree that the world is unfair. Um, Only because not that like I'm not the person that's like everything happens for a reason because I don't think everything happens for a reason. I believe that some people are evil and they just steal. Some people are evil and they just kill. Like there's not a reason behind it. But I do believe that we can always learn from our situations,
Yeah.
right? And I am wondering, like, do you feel like your purpose was weighed up? How can I say this? Where you are today, you would not be there if these quote unquote unfair things did not happen to you. And that's why I'm trying to change my mindset around is it fair? Like, because
Yeah.
who I am today is full of moments of me feeling like life has been unfair to me.
Yep.
But would I be my full self if those things didn't happen? Does that make sense? You get what I'm
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to? Okay.
100%. No, I agree. I agree. I think if those things didn't happen, I wouldn't be able to talk the way I talk. I wouldn't be able to do what I do now. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
the work that I do within schools, when I go and consult, when I work, it comes from me going through that process of healing that people are still trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think, for example, like I try to create the spaces that I wish my father would have had. For
Mm.
that
That's
alone,
good.
I wouldn't be doing that if what happened didn't happen. You know what I
That's
mean?
good.
So
Yeah.
everything I do, I feel like with that night when I spoke at your school with your students, like my father was there. I felt him.
Mm.
Every
Mm.
time I do it, I feel him, and I take pride in that. Like I create the spaces I wish my father would have had, to kind of what happened to my father can not happen to somebody else because of
Mm.
this experience.
That's good. And then you talked about like with your students and if you want to cry, cry, be vulnerable. And the question that popped into my head was, is it harder slash how do you get your male students to
Oh
see
yeah.
the power in being vulnerable? Because I'm thinking about my male students, right?
Mhm.
And if they had you, I probably wouldn't have to have the conversations, I have with them today. Yeah, that's the question.
Lead by example.
Mm.
I
But
think,
I'm
and
not a man,
I know that's what I mean. That's the hard part. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You need male and representation is key. We talk about
Hmm.
this in the movies, in shows and all that, but like we need it in the school, and that's why, you know, and it, a bigger picture and because I know that I'm best in like high school, college, but I'm at an elementary. I'm a director of culture and community at an elementary school. You look at the statistics, most elementaries are full with women leading,
Hmm.
teaching. And boys, especially black and brown boys, don't see male representation in elementary or in school until they get older and it's time to discipline them.
Hmm.
It's time to reprimand them, right? There's very limited amount of male teachers in elementary to show them love, show them care, show them vulnerability while they're teaching them in their most, earliest stages. Right?
Hmm.
You get used to seeing a man as a coach in middle school, high school, a dean, right? And somebody to a guidance counselor to help them process something. And I think, I'm sorry about the light
You're
keeps.
fine.
So, I think for me being in elementary school, I'm intentional about representing what I'm telling them uh, while reacting. So your reactions are like how to talk or how to keep your calm even during a heated moment, right? And how to be who you say you are. And I think that's the biggest thing for boys. Boys need to see themselves in the people that they're around
Yeah.
to want to change. Um, so yeah, it's not, it doesn't work all the time, but I think that is a big part of it. I take pride in that and using my privilege as a man to go into these spaces and talk to boys. But I think to answer your question with my girls, because you're talking about dealing with your boys, for me, dealing with my girls, um, I focus, all right, I focus really big on the things of like flipping it, right? Like for example, um, men are a certain way. They're aggressive. They're like being soft and showing them like I can, you know, be like things that they probably don't see or whatever, like just representing a different perspective of a man and what it could be. Right.
Hmm.
So taking on that role. And then when you're in education as a woman could do that as like they probably used to a woman being harsh on them or being tough on them. Because my mom was harsh and tough because she was afraid that I was going to end up in the wrong
Yeah.
situation. And I didn't have a real conversation with my mom until I graduated college. And she told me, "Oh, you're going to be fine now. So you're good. We could talk."
Oh, wow.
So like she thought I was going to be in these streets. And you're like, that's why she was strict. Like I was scared of my mom. My mom was tough.
Yeah.
She was like, she didn't play no games. And I know boys are used to seeing women like that,
Hmm.
right? But like having a different type of, oh, they could talk to you this way, or they can approach it a different way and change their perspective. Is taking on that responsibility in that role. And that I can't, that's why I'm not saying specifics because it's going to change for every situation.
Right, right,
Pay
right.
attention to the environment, the community you're serving, the type of students you're dealing with, and then being able to offer them what they need in the moment, um,
Yeah.
and change their perspective that way.
That's good. I don't know if I realized you were elementary school until this very moment.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I thought you were a junior high. I don't
Yeah,
know where I got that from.
I'm in the
Maybe
K through 5 school right now.
it might be because you don't dumb down things. That I assumed
I
because
will,
usually people that are even if males that work at elementaries have this like they're not how can I say this?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like they just
I worked really hard in trying to, like when I was, because I'm a businessman as well. Jay-Z, I'm a businessman. So like um when I was building my business and building my curriculum, because I've developed curriculum for after my dad's passing, I was a restorative justice coordinator at a high school, and they gave me one class. So I was dealing with behaviors. I was doing restorative circles with the community, doing events, and then I was teaching one class a day. In that class, they told me do whatever you want. So I developed the whole curriculum, how to do talks, how to write, and all that on how to deal with your stuff. And I had when I finished that year, I had like a curriculum of 30 lesson plans. And then I started using it in my business to like offer it to schools and adjust it to
hmm
the needs. And I did middle school, high school, elementary, and I had to adjust it. And I put myself in those spaces where I can make it work in every area, from kindergarten all the way to college level. So like, and that's how I work. Whereas if you can't make your material hit in all them areas, you haven't processed your material to the most fundamental level. Because if you can't teach it to a kindergarten class and then turn around and teach it a college class, you didn't master it yet.
yeah.
So I mean,
I'm smiling because I literally have an assignment
um,
that my students have to take a concept and present it and teach
um,
it to a kindergartner.
that's
So
perfect.
that's my final project in one of my classes. That's why
Go
I'm
get your,
laughing.
I love doing this because I like, for example, I'll give you an example. Toxic masculinity,
Hmm.
high school class. You put the question on the board. Talk about the last time you saw toxic masculinity or toxic behavior, how they made you feel.
Mm-hmm.
What kids walk in the room, they're gonna be like, "What? Oh, that happened to me yesterday." Da, da, da." You
Mm-hmm.
don't see kids write more than they ever wrote before, right? We sit down, boom, first 5 minutes to get them to talk. They expressing themselves, they feel good, boom. Then I put on a video, 2 minute video on uh, the difference between toxic and healthy. Boom. Okay, let's write down. Boom. We break it down. Okay, let's do this activity. Let's do these scenarios, right? And let's word play. Like let's do a toxic one, then let's play it out, role play, and then let's do a healthy one. Boom. All right, who wants to present? Boom. Class goes, we do an exit ticket at the end. Boom. High school. Flip that same class to kindergarten. All right, class, I'm gonna put on the board. Toxic. Everybody say toxic. Toxic. Okay, let's spell it out. Let's write it. Okay, toxic. Okay, then let's watch this video on what toxic behavior. You saw a kid like going on the playground and then pushing another kid to the ground
Mm-hmm.
down the slide. Okay, all right. And then you see that, and then what did you see in the video? Oh, he was mean. Da, da, da. And I was like, okay, that's what we call toxic behavior. Everybody say toxic. Boom, they say toxic. And then it's like, okay, so when someone is behaving this way, right? And we break that down and
Mm-hmm.
okay, so like, and it's little baby steps. So like you got to be able to take your material and be able to break it down to the most fundamental level. And I love doing that because I think even as a father too, it helps me. Like if I can teach it to adults and then I can't explain it to my,
Yeah.
it's not making sense.
Yeah, I have godchildren, which are not my own children, but when they ask me hard questions, I actually take it as a challenge. And like I'll be on the phone with people and they're like, I can't believe you explained that to them. And I'm like, well, they need to know on the level that they are. Like it may be the most inappropriate question. And I'm like, okay, so, you know,
Yeah.
and like because also I'm big on not squashing curiosity because my parents didn't do that to me. I didn't grow up in a that's grown folks' business kind of life. Like, I mean, certain things obviously were not my business, but like I was answered, right? Because I never was asking disrespectfully. I really was just like, I don't understand. Can you help me? Now, I did lead to problems outside of my house because other adults ain't used to the questions that my
Yeah,
parents would
yeah,
get. I got in
yeah.
trouble. I got in trouble plenty of times, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
But look at me now. I'm a
yeah.
podcast
No, it
host.
worked out. It
I ask
worked out.
questions, you know what I'm
Worked
saying? But
out.
I think it's interesting in that concept of you have to be able to explain it to the youngest of minds, right? And I appreciate that you take these high level concepts and are able to do that. But I'm going to shift gears one more time, and my question is, what is your purpose? We've talked around it, we've done all the other things, but what is your purpose?
I think I said it already.
Really?
My focus is creating the spaces I wish my father would have had, and aligning myself to the best of my ability so I could be the best version of myself in every space that I enter.
I want to snap, but I don't want that to be on the recording. So just know that I snapped after you said that. Because
Yeah,
that is so good. Like, and I want to commend you because you have done a workshop at my place of employment. And I do believe that that space was open. I do believe that that space helped my students, right? I do believe that people at my school are different. Well, 30 something people that were there, right, are different because you came. So I do want to commend you. I want to pause and give you your props on that. But that is a dope purpose. So my
yeah.
lead following question to that is, do you feel pressure to do this all the time, or
No,
is it in selective spaces?
no, I don't feel pressured to do it all the time. I've worked daily and I don't see it as pressure. I feel like if I want to be who I say I am, it's a responsibility. It's not a pressure. It's a lifestyle. So when I say yeah, I think the biggest thing, even with vulnerability, uh taking the power back in vulnerability, that's a responsibility. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. I'm
So
dropping
what's
gems right now. Hold on.
Go
Hold
ahead and write it
on.
down so you can use it later. but
I'm dropping
okay, so what's the
gems.
difference between because I okay, now you
Yeah.
done open up another can of worms.
Yeah.
Because how do you switch from Because I joke all the time, like, "Ooh, that feel like pressure," right? Like you show a skill, and now everybody wants you to have that skill all the time. And I'm like,
Yeah.
right? So how did you? Because they actually feel the same, right? They're both
Yeah.
weighty.
Uh-huh.
They both you have to give them to other people. So how
Yeah.
did you shift your mind from this is not pressure but a responsibility?
I was always like that. I think,
Mm,
listen, I was a basketball player. I was the guy that wanted the last shot, and I took the last shot,
mm,
and I made the last shot.
mm,
So like I remember you saw how tall. I'm not the tallest. I'm not the fastest.
mm-hmm,
I worked my ass off, and I worked myself to being the best player in my city, in my town, in my county, right? And I was playing against people that just were like could have played in the NBA if they figured out the school thing, right? And
mm-hmm,
they just were in the neighborhood. They used to beat me down, and I kept coming back. I didn't look at it as pressure. I looked at it as responsibility. So when I worked my way up and I started becoming really good at my craft, um, I started to build that confidence in me. And I used to say that to myself. It's not pressure, it's a responsibility. So I'll do my part throughout the game, which is just like life, to get people involved, to make people feel valued.
mm-hmm,
And when the game is on the line, I'm willing to shoulder that because throughout the game, I was making people feel valued. I was
mm-hmm.
keeping them involved. And then when I say I'm gonna take the last shot, they cheer me on because I've done all those things before. So like it was a responsibility, not a pressure.
I love that. Thank you for that. Thank
That's
you.
game right there. That's
Yeah.
game.
I'm making a quote out of it. No, seriously, that is really good. So my last question is: we've talked about alignment, we've talked
Yeah,
about how grief has helped you, we've talked about being so good at your craft that you can break it down to a
yeah.
kindergartner. But if people get nothing else from your episode, they listen to us, they were like, "That guy's cool. He said a lot of cool things." But what is the one thing you want people to get from your episode?
Ooh, that's a really good question. The one thing that I want people to get from this episode is there's nothing better. There's no better feeling than being your true self and having the people that really matter see you that way.
Oh, that's good.
There's nothing better than coming home and your wife see you that way. Your daughter see you that way. Your mother feels about you that way. Your brother, your father, and you are who they say you are. There's no better feeling than that. And if you're not there yet, trust me, that should be a goal that you get there. And when you get there, it's not pressure, it's a responsibility.
That is so good. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you so much for being on this episode of the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, where we journey to purpose together. All of his contact information and his book information will be in our bio. So whether you're seeing it on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever, please look in the notes because you'll find all the information on how to get in contact with Carlos. Thank you again.